Start. Hi friends. Let me introduce myself. I am 𝗵𝗳𝗧 𝗚𝗫, a student of first BPC from TTWREIS Girls COE Vanaparthi. Today I am before you to teach a beautiful topic from botany is stem modification. Before going to start our session, I am going to ask a few questions. We know that in our surroundings we observe many types of plants. The plant contains many parts. Can you guess what are the parts? Yes, there are root, stem, leaf, branches, fruits and flowers. These are the main parts which present on the plant body. Here the root which present inside of the soil and remaining parts which present aerially. Then what is the function of the root? The main function of the root is it absorbs water from the soil, it absorbs minerals from the soil and it prevents the soil erosion and it also helps for the transportation system. So these are the main functions of the stem, root. And remaining parts which present aerially, they are stem, branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. Let's discuss what is stem. Stem is ascending part of the plant body which bears branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. And it develops from a plumule of a germinating seed and it also contains nodes and internodes. Then what is node? The portion where the new leaves are born, it is called node. The portion between the two nodes, it's called the internodes. And the stem also bears the buds, they are the axillary bud and the terminal bud. These are the main features of the stem. Then what is the function of the stem? The main function of the stem is it spread out the branches and the branches bears leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. It also conducts water, mineral and photosynthesis. Stem in some other plants perform the functions such as storaging of the food material, protection, vegetative propagation and giving a mechanical support of the plant body. So these are the main functions of the stem. But here the stem is modified. Then what is modification? A permanent morphological change that occurs in a plant body, it's called modification. When this occurs in a stem, it is called stem modification. Here a modified stem performs the functions other than the normal functions. And here the stem modifications are divided into three types. They are underground stem modification, subaerial stem modification, aerial stem modification. Let's discuss about the three types. The first one is underground stem modification. Here the underground stem modification is nothing but the stem which present inside of the soil, it's called underground stem. When it performs the additional functions, it is called underground stem modification. Usually we know that the stem grows aerially, but here the stem grows inside of the soil. Why this occurs? Because of in some plants the stem grows inside of the soil because it stores the food material and gives the mechanical support of the plant body and also help for the vegetative propagation and it also protect themselves. These are the main points which the stem grows inside of the soil. Based on the growth patterns, the parts which store the food material, the underground stem modifications are divided into four types. They are rhizome, comb, stem tuber and bulb. These are the 4 types of the underground stem modification. Now let's discuss about the rhizome. The example of the rhizome is ginger and its botanical name is Gingiber officinalis, and another one is turmeric and its botanical name is Curcuma longa. And here we take a ginger. We see that the ginger grows horizontally below the soil. Why this grows horizontally? Because of absence of the contractile roots, it grows horizontally below the soil. It also contains nodes and internodes. Here we see that these are the lines which call the nodes. The portion between these 2 nodes are called the internode, and it produces adventitious roots from its ventral sides. It produces adventitious roots from these ventral sides and the axillary buds which stores the food material. Why these roots are stores of food materials? To penetrate the underground to tide over the unfavorable conditions for growth, it stores the food material, and it also contains the adventitious roots. We know that taproot and fiber roots, but what is adventitious roots? The root which develops from the other than the radical, it is called the adventitious roots, and it stores the food material, that is starch and the proteins. So these are the main features of the rhizome. And the next modification of the underground stem is 𝗂𝗚. 𝗂𝗚 is it grows vertically below the soil. Previous we saw that the rhizome grows horizontally. Why? Because there is the absence of the contractile roots. Here the presence of the contractile roots, it grows horizontally below, it grows vertically below the soil, and presence of the contractile roots, it grows vertically below the soil. And it also bears the nodes and internodes. From the aerial shoots, it synthesizes the food material which store in the 𝗂𝗚, and here the axillary buds which help for the vegetative propagation, and this also produce the daughter 𝗂𝗚s, and it stores the food material in the 𝗂𝗚, so the 𝗂𝗚 become tuberous. The example of the 𝗂𝗚 is colocasia. Next, another modification of the another modification of the underground stem is bulb. Here the example for the bulb is Allium cephā, commonly called as the onion. It is a underground modification. It is a small reduced underground stem. Here we see that this is the apical bud which helps for the growth, and it also involves in the vegetative propagation. Here these are the leafy base which stores the food material, and it grows in a concentric manner, and here the stem is a discoid stem, and here we see that these are the roots. We are commonly called as it is the adventitious roots. So these are the main features of the bulb. The another modification of the underground stem is stem tuber. The example of the stem tuber is Solanum tuberosum. It's commonly called as the potato. Here we see that the potato is swollen. Why this potato is swollen? Because it helps for the vegetative propagation, and it stores the food material. It stores the food material at the tip of the branches. It stores the food material, and it also, we can see that the eye-like structures, they are called buds, so they will help for the growth of the new plant. So this also involves in the vegetative propagation. So which type of the food it stores in the stem? That is starch. The starch is stored in the stem tuber. So these are the main features of the underground stems. And we know that the carrot and the potato, both of them found in the inside of the soil. Here potato is a stem modification and carrot is a root modification. Then how can you identify whether it is a root or stem? Let me clear a doubt. Here we see that the stem contains nodes and internodes, whether the root does not contain any nodes and internodes. So we easily identify whether it is a root or stem. So based on these, the underground stem modifications also called as a multidisciplinary stem. Why? Because of it stores the food material, it helps for the vegetative propagation, and it protects and it helps for the protection, and it gives a mechanical support to the plant body. Based on these points, the underground stem modifications also called as the multidisciplinary stem modifications. So another modification of the stem is subaerial stem modification. So the subaerial stem is nothing but the portion of this some part which present inside of the soil and remaining portion which present aerially. So it is called the subaerial stem. When it performs the additional functions, it's called the subaerial stem modification. Here the subaerial stem modification also divided into 4 types. They are runner, sucker, stolons and offset. So these are the 4 types of the subaerial stem. So first, runner. So in some subaerial stems like oxalis, they spread the new niches and form the new parts when the older parts are the die. So it's involved in the vegetative propagation. When it's breakdown from the parent plant, it forms a new plant. Example, oxalis. And here the underground stem like some grasses and the strawberry. So previous we saw that the underground stem like rhizome and corm, they are help in the vegetative propagation and the storaging of the food material. But here the underground stem, some grasses and the strawberry, they are also called as a runner because of it also involves in vegetative propagation and also spread the new branches and form the new plants when the older parts are the die. So example is grasses and the strawberry. So these are the main features of the runner. The next one is sucker. In plants like banana, chrysanthemum, pineapple. So the slender lateral branch which arises from the base of the main axis, and it also after sometimes it grows obliquely and it arches down towards the sunlight. When it touches the ground, it produces adventitious roots. Where it produces the adventitious roots, there the new plant will be formed. So when these are detached from the parent plant, it forms a new plant and it does not depend on the parent plant. Example is banana, chrysanthemum and pineapple. So the next one is stolon. In some branches like slender lateral branches which arises from the base of the main axis and they grow obliquely upwards. After some times they produce the adventitious roots and then we touch the ground and it forms the adventitious root. When it touches the ground, there the new plant will be developed and it also helps for the vegetative propagation. When this detached from the parent plant, it also forms a new plants and it doesn't depend on the parent plant. Example is 𝗕 jasmine. The another one is offset. A slender lateral one internodal length branch is called offset. They are present on the horizontally present on surface of the water and they are freely floating on the water. So it also contains the root pockets and the balancing roots. Here the balancing roots which help for the balancing on the plant body on the water, and root pockets is help for the to protect themselves from the wave forces, and it also bears leaves in a rosette manner. What is rosette manner? The circular arrangement of the leaves, it's called the rosette manner. The example for the offset is pisthi and acornia. So all these subaerial stem modifications also involve in vegetative propagation. So these are the main features of the subaerial stem modification. Next one is aerial stem modification. What is aerial stem modification? The modification of the aerial stem and the floral buds which perform the functions such as climbing, protecting and vegetative propagations. So it's called as the subaerial stem modification. Here the aerial stem modification are divided into 5 types. They are stem tendrils, thorns, phyllocytes, cladophyll and bulbils. So these are the 5 are present in the aerial stem modification. Let's discuss about the stem tendrils. These tendrils which may arise from the axillary bud or terminal bud, it's called a stem tendril. It is a spirally wiry, called delicate sensitive structure. It's called the stem tendrils, and these are help for the climbing of the plant body. For example, the axillary bud is modified into watermelon, pineapple and cucumber and pumpkin, and example for the terminal bud is grapevines. So these are the main features of the stem tendrils. Next one is thorns. It's a hard woody pointed structure is called thorns. So the stem is modified to protect themselves from the grazing animals, and these are the found in citrus and the bougainvillea. So these are the main features of the thorns. Before going to explain the another modification of the aerial stem, I am going to ask a question. Which plant organ perform the photosynthesis? Yes, that is true. So leaf is perform the photosynthesis in plant body. But here in xerophytic areas like deserts and the plant like cuscuta, the stem is completely modified into leaf to perform the photosynthesis process. Because of there is a scarcity of water, so the stem can modify to store the water, and here the leaves are modified to spines. So these spines are help for the reducing the transpiration. For example, euphorbia, it is a fleshy flattened structure. It's a fleshy flattened structure. It's called the euphorbia, and a fleshy cylindrical structure is called cuscuta, and a needle-like structure is called the casuarina. And another one is cladophyll. Previous we saw that the phyllocytes, the stem is completely modified into perform the photosynthesis, but here the limited branch is only modified to perform the photosynthesis. So for examples, in asparagus, the limited branch which help for the modified to perform the photosynthesis. And example, asparagus. The last modification of the aerial stem is bulbils. In plants like vegetative buds like Dioscorea and floral buds like agave, so these are the stores the food material. So when this detached from the parent plant, it forms the adventitious roots to help for the vegetative propagation. So example is Dioscorea and the agave. So from these modifications, we will conclude that the subaerial stem modification, aerial stem modification and underground stem modification. Here the underground stem modification is helpful for the vegetative propagation and storaging of the food material, and help for the protection, and also involves in vegetative propagation. And whereas the subaerial stem modification, it's also help for the vegetative propagation. So these both modifications are protect themselves, the stem is modified, but here the aerial stem is modified into protection, climbing and vegetative propagations. So from this, I hope that you will understand my class. And first, finally, I would like to thank our Secretary Ma'am, Srimati Sita Lakshmi Ma'am, and our RCO sir of Maimuna region, Nagarjuna Rao sir, and my dynamic principal, I. Govardhan sir, and I would like to thank my mentor teachers, Bhanu sir and the Kurmurti sir, and finally I would like to thank my parents And last but not least, I would like to thank the TSAT team so cooperating for my presentation. Thank you.